Okay, I need you to do something for me real quick. Open Instagram, go to the Explore page, just scroll. Now tell me, does anyone look different to you? Like genuinely, distinctly different? Because I've been doing this experiment for the past few weeks, and I keep seeing the same face over and over and over again. Different names, different bios, different aesthetics, same cheekbones, same lips, same everything. And at some point I stopped thinking, wow, she's pretty, and started thinking, wait, have I seen her before? That feeling has a name. People are calling it the clone effect. And today, we're gonna break down exactly how it happened, why it's getting worse, and here's the part that nobody in the beauty industry wants you to hear, why some of the most popular cosmetic treatments out there might be doing permanent damage that we're only just starting to understand. Buckle up, this one's going to get uncomfortable. Let me take you back to around 2019. A journalist named Gia Tolentino wrote a piece for The New Yorker, and she coined a term that basically broke the internet for beauty nerds. Instagram face. She described it as a single cyborgian look, and the description was almost eerie in how accurate it was. Poreless skin, full structured lips, high sculpted cheekbones, a slightly upturned nose, wide doe-like eyes, strong brows. The interesting thing? This face didn't belong to any one ethnicity. It wasn't black or white or Latina or Asian. It was sort of all of them blended together into this hyper-optimized, algorithm-approved version of attractiveness. And here's the kicker, it didn't happen by accident. The algorithm rewards certain types of faces. It literally boosts content featuring these features because engagement is higher. So creators learned, consciously or not, that looking a certain way meant more views, more followers, more brand deals. Beauty became a performance metric. And once that happened, the cosmetic industry looked at this and thought, oh, this is an opportunity, because suddenly there was a universal standard. And if there's a universal standard for how faces should look, then any face that doesn't meet that standard is, by definition, a problem to be fixed. You see where this is going? Here's a quick history lesson, and I promise it won't be boring. Botox was approved by the FDA in 2002 for cosmetic use, and for a while, it was genuinely a Hollywood thing. It was expensive, it was taboo, and people whispered about it. Your favorite actress looked refreshed, and everyone pretended not to notice. Fast forward to 2024, and you can get Botox at the mall. I'm not exaggerating. There are med spas in strip malls, in salons, in office parks. Some places offer walk-in appointments. You can literally be on your lunch break, grab a sandwich, get your forehead injected, and be back at your desk by 1 p.m. The barrier to entry basically disappeared, and as the barrier dropped, the target market shifted. This is the part that I think is genuinely alarming. The industry didn't just make these treatments more accessible to the people who'd always wanted them, they invented a new customer. They went after Gen Z, and the way they did it was genius and deeply manipulative. They invented a concept called preventative Botox. The pitch sounds reasonable on the surface. Why wait until you have wrinkles to treat them? Start early, and you'll never get them in the first place. So now you have 19, 20, 21-year-olds, people whose skin is literally at its biological peak, being told that they already have early signs of aging that need to be addressed now, that the fine line they see when they make an expression is a ticking clock. That maintenance is something you start before you even need it. It reframed the entire conversation. It wasn't fix a problem, it was prevent a problem that doesn't exist yet. And look, I'm not here to shame anyone for their choices. Your face, your call, full stop. But I think we need to have an honest conversation about the marketing machinery behind this, because it was very deliberately engineered to create anxiety in people who had nothing to be anxious about. Here's where it gets really interesting. Some of these clinics, not all, but a growing number, have started offering membership models. Monthly subscriptions. You pay a flat fee every month, and in exchange, you get a certain number of units of Botox or a discount on filler or priority appointments. It's Netflix, but for your face, and the business logic is brilliant if you're the clinic, and kind of horrifying if you're the customer. Because what a subscription model does is it normalizes continuous treatment. It takes something that used to be a one-off decision, do I want to do this, and turns it into a standing order. You're not deciding to get injected, you're just continuing your subscription. You stop choosing, it just happens. And the more regularly you go, the more your face adapts to that as its baseline. Stop the Botox and your face feels wrong to you. Continue it, and you need slightly more each time as your body metabolizes it. The cycle is self-sustaining by design. Okay, this is the part of the video where I need you to actually pay attention, because this is genuinely important information that I think a lot of people who've had filler or are considering it deserve to know. For years, the standard pitch for dermal fillers, specifically hyaluronic acid fillers, the most popular kind, brands like Juvederm, Restylane, the pitch was this: it's temporary. It dissolves naturally in 6 to 12 months. Your body absorbs it. It's completely reversible. That was the whole selling point. That was the safety net. That was why millions of people who might have been hesitant thought, okay, I'll try it. Worst case, I just wait and it goes away. There's just one problem. It doesn't go away. I want to be really clear here, because I know this sounds like a conspiracy theory and it's not. This is coming from actual medical literature. Radiologists and plastic surgeons started noticing something strange when patients who'd had filler years ago came in for MRIs or CT scans for completely unrelated reasons, like a dental procedure or a sinus issue. The filler was still there. Not traces of it, significant deposits from procedures done 5, 7, 10 years ago. A radiologist named Dr. Mobin Master published findings on this, and it sent shockwaves through the dermatology community. He described finding filler in places it was never injected, which brings us to the second, even more alarming part of the story. Filler doesn't just sit there politely where it was put. Over time, and this is accelerated by movement, by facial expressions, by gravity, by getting more filler on top of old filler, it moves. It migrates into adjacent tissue. It drifts into muscle planes. It can end up under the eyes, giving that puffy, slightly swollen look that people used to chalk up to bad technique. It can slide into the jawline. It can spread into the nasolabial folds in ways that start looking less like defined cheekbones and more like, well, like pillow face. You've seen it. You know exactly what I'm describing. That look where someone's face is somehow full and flat at the same time, where their features seem almost buried under the surface, where they look subtly swollen rather than sculpted. That's not a coincidence. That's often years of accumulated, migrated filler that was never supposed to still be there. And here's the financial ticking time bomb buried inside this. The entire industry, which is worth tens of billions of dollars, sold these products on the premise of impermanence. Try it, it'll dissolve, no big deal. That was the risk management story. That was what made the ask feel low stakes. If it comes out, and it is coming out, that the product is actually semi-permanent, that the effects accumulate over years, that the migration creates deformities that are genuinely difficult to reverse, that's a liability problem on a massive scale. And doctors who are paying attention are already sounding the alarm. Dissolving old, migrated, hardened filler is not as simple as one hyaluronidase injection. Sometimes it takes multiple sessions. Sometimes the filler has been there so long it's encapsulated in tissue and won't dissolve cleanly. Sometimes the act of dissolving it leaves the face looking depleted in ways that can take months to correct. The fix is often harder than the original problem. I want to be fair here. Not everyone who gets filler has a bad outcome. Plenty of people have it done conservatively by skilled practitioners and are happy with the results. This isn't filler is evil, never do it. But the industry's marketing has systematically downplayed the permanence risk, the migration risk, and the cumulative effect of repeated treatments over years. And people deserve to know that before they sign up. Let me walk you through what's actually happening structurally when filler is injected, because I think visualizing it makes the stakes a lot clearer. Picture the face in 3 dimensions, not just the surface, the layers. You've got skin on top, then subcutaneous fat, then muscle, then bone. The face isn't a flat canvas. It's a stacked, dynamic, moving structure. Every time you smile, squint, chew, or talk, dozens of muscles are pulling in different directions simultaneously. When a practitioner injects filler, the goal is to place it in a specific anatomical layer, usually the subcutaneous fat, sometimes deeper, to add volume or definition in a targeted area. The cheek, the lip, the tear trough, the jawline. In the short term, done carefully, it can look genuinely natural. The material is soft and somewhat flexible. It integrates with the surrounding tissue, and if the amount is conservative, the change can be subtle. But here's what happens over time with repeated treatments. First, the existing filler doesn't fully dissolve between appointments. So when new filler is added on top of old filler, the total volume increases, session by session, year by year. Second, the weight of accumulated filler, because it does have mass, starts to exert a downward pull. The very thing that was meant to lift a face starts to drag it. The cheeks that were once high and sculpted start to sit heavy. The under eye area starts to look perpetually puffy. The mid-face looks bloated rather than defined. Third, and this is the migration piece, facial movement over years acts like a slow-motion pump, gradually pushing the filler away from where it was placed. It follows the path of least resistance, which is often downward toward the jawline and jowl area, or inward toward the center of the face. So you can end up with a face that has simultaneously lost the definition it was meant to gain and gained fullness in all the wrong places. The solution, logically, should be to dissolve the old filler and start fresh. But as I mentioned, by the time this is visually apparent, the filler is often years old, partially encapsulated, and not going to respond predictably to dissolving agents. This is the trap, and it's built into the product. Not maliciously, maybe, but structurally. Okay, I want to end on something that's actually kind of positive, because I don't want to leave you just feeling dread. Something is changing. You can feel it in the culture. The Instagram face aesthetic that peaked around 2021, 2022 is starting to feel dated. There's a growing backlash, not just from critics and journalists, but from consumers themselves. Search trends for filler dissolving have gone up dramatically in the past 2 years. More and more influencers are openly talking about removing their filler or choosing not to get more. The look that used to signal beauty consciousness is starting to signal something else. Something a little desperate, a little trapped, a little too much. The pendulum is swinging. Brands are noticing. Some cosmetic companies are pivoting to skincare, real skincare, focused on skin texture and health rather than volume and sculpting. Dermatologists who built careers on injectables are talking more and more about facial restoration, reversing years of filler accumulation as one of the growth areas of the next decade. There's even a term for it now, filler fatigue, both in the literal sense, fatigue from having too much, and in the cultural sense, being tired of the whole aesthetic. And I think underneath this shift is something genuinely important that's being rediscovered. Faces are supposed to move. They're supposed to have texture. They're supposed to change when you age, because you're a living person who has experiences and feelings and years on you. A face that shows none of that isn't aspirational, it's uncanny. It's the aesthetic equivalent of autotune cranked up to the point where the voice doesn't sound human anymore. We can hear when something's been processed into inhuman perfection. And we're starting to see it too. Here's what I actually want you to take away from this. Nobody, not a clinic, not a social media algorithm, not a brand with a monthly membership plan, gets to tell you that your face is a problem to be solved. The cosmetic industry is brilliant at manufacturing insecurity and then selling you the cure. It convinced a generation of teenagers that their resting face needed preventative treatment. It invented a subscription model so you never have to consciously decide to stop. It sold you temporary when the science is increasingly suggesting permanent. That's not beauty care, that's a business model. And the beautiful irony is that the antidote, actual individual faces with actual features that move and crinkle and exist in time, is becoming the thing that looks genuinely fresh, genuinely distinctive, genuinely interesting. Your face doesn't need an upgrade. It needs to be left alone. And that's not a hot take. That's just the math finally catching up to the marketing.